G'day and welcome to APS 101 demonstration for the animated prim system brought to you by ge-NeticS. Okay, so basically what I'll be going over in this video is just a quick run through of how to use the APS to take an inanimate object and animate it. So I'll just be doing a brief explanations of the features as I go through this to show you how easy it is to use. And there will be other videos that go into greater detail and explanation of each of these features and how to use it so that it maybe be better understanding it at a slower pace. But because I'm just doing something simple and quick here, I've just elected to animate a simple box that's going to turn into a ball and bounce up and down a couple of times while it changes color and then turns back into a box, to show you that not only does the APS do things like size and position, it also does like color change, texture change, completely change the prim type from like box to a sphere or sculpted prims, what have you, whatever you like. It does a lot of the prim parameters possible. So I've just got a simple two prim object here. If I edit it here, you'll see that there's another little box on the inside that's actually an invisible box that I'm using as the root prim, since it can't animate the root prim. And then I've got my child prim here, which is the big grey box. Alright, so first thing to get started here, obviously you can have more than just the one prim. You can animate up to 256 prim objects, which is the SL maximum for link sets. But I'm just working with the one prim here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I've got the root prim selected here, well, the whole object, by default the root prim because I haven't got edit linked selected. I'm going to go into my inventory and go into my APS folder, and I'm going to take my APS main and playback scripts here. Now you don't need the playback, but the playback adds another menu to the recording menu that allows you to like show a frame that you've already recorded, add remove frames, or play back the whole animation that you've got so far. So you'll generally want to include that. So I put that in there. Now I'm going to edit link parts, and I'm going to go into my child box here, and I'm going to take the APS link script and I'm going to take that into its contents. You need one of these for each prim you want to animate. Now there are quicker ways to distribute them. For me, this one, since I'm only doing the one prim, much quicker just to do it manually, but there is also an automatic option, so depending on how many prims you've got and how many you want to animate, will depend on whether you want the APS to do that for you. And there will be a distribute video that goes into more explanation and detail on each of these processes. So now that I've got them in there, I can touch the object to get my menu. It says my current frame is 0 and frames recorded is -1. So it says -1 because the first frame, 0, is basically our base frame. So I'm going to record that base frame as just the box there. Here you go, frame 0 recorded, and frames recorded is 0, so basically the base frame is recorded. So I'm going to edit my object now and go edit link parts, and I'm going to grab my box. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to turn it into a sphere. Then I'm going to record that as a frame. So what I'm going to go through here is I'm just going to animate a couple of bounces and I have it go down, squish down a bit, and I'm going to change its color for this next frame. Record, resize it back up, and bounce it up into the air. And basically this is it. You just go through and make the changes you want, record your frames. I'm going to bounce it one more time. I'm going to change the color again, blue this time. And for the last frame before it goes into a box, I'm just going to squish it down again and take it back to grey, and that'll be its last frame. So it says 8 frames recorded. Technically there's 9, but we don't really include the 0 in that number. So now to show you that the next frame is the beginning frame again in box, I'm just going to go into the playback menu here to show you quickly here. and I can go to the next frame and you'll see that that's the box, and I can cycle through them if I want to see each frame as I've recorded it. I can go to a specific frame, add, remove, replace frames, or I can play it through if I want. It gives me some options here. There you go, that's what I've got so far. More information, details on the playback menu and the playback video. So I've just gone over that, and I'm just going to go back. Now that I've got it all done, I'm happy with that. I'm going to go into finalize. Now there'll be more explanations on the finalization process in the finalize video, explanations and that of what each of these do. First thing I need to do is choose the parameters I want to include in the frame scripts, because there's no point including stuff that I didn't actually change. So by default, position rotation is selected, as those are the most common that will be used, but I didn't do any rotation, so I'm just going to turn rotation off. I did resize it however, so I'm going to choose size, and position I'm leaving on because I did move it. Go to the next page here, and I changed the color of it, so I'm going to include color, and I changed its type when it was going from a box into a sphere, so I'm going to go type. Now that I've got all them selected, I'm going to go to dump. It'll ask me for an animation name that I can click in this text box here and give it a name. So I'm just going to call it bounce, and submit. It'll ask me if I want to optimize the script data for editable link sets. So basically what it means is if I do optimize it, once I dump the frame scripts, put it in the object, if I need to link another prim or unlink prims or what have you, it won't affect the animation will still work. But it does require each prim, animated prim, to have its own unique individual name to do it. I don't need to, I've just got the one prim here, so I'm just going to say no for now. And I'm going to choose just to do one single script for all the prims, because there's only one prim anyway. I could also choose separate if I had a lot of prims, so different script for each prim. Single, and it asks me if I want all frames or just part of the frames. I just want all. Like I said, more explanation on why these options are available to you in the instructions and in the finalize video. So then I get a menu here that allows me to start. Translators must be turned off before dumping a script. I can't stress this enough. If you have a translator turned on, it will mess up the script and it won't save correctly, so you need to turn translators off. Anything else that goes in the chat, like people coming online, offline, music announcements in chat, anything else that goes in the chat doesn't matter. It'll be ignored. It's commented out for the script. But translators speak can't be, so you need to turn them off. Before I start, I'm going to open up my local chat window here, and then I'm going to click the start button. Okay, now it gives me 10 seconds before it dumps the rest of the script. It'll dump the first part, and that gives me enough time to grab my cursor, left mouse button, and highlight it all, hold the mouse button down, and as you'll see, once it starts generating the rest of the script, it's highlighting it as it does so that I don't need to scroll back up. And I can just right click and copy all that now, close that down, and it gives me an option to redo the script if I needed to, or I can indicate that I'm finished. So I'm just going to say that I'm finished. Open up my inventory. Now I made a folder here called animation scripts that I'm going to use, and I'm just going to go new script, and I'm going to call this one frames. Alright, just open that up and highlight and delete all the stuff that's in there by default, and then just paste that script. Now we go up to the top here and you'll see total frames 8. Now we need to remember that for when we do our trigger script. So we've got 8 there. I'm going to go save, and you'll see that that save is complete and successful. Before I move forward, I'm actually just going to go into my finalize menu here for the object. Now you may want to use a copy of it to test the frame scripts and triggers before you go and remove these scripts, but I'm pretty confident, so I'm just going to go into options here and I'm going to remove the setup scripts from the prim, and they will be removed now. And I'm going to take my frame script and put it into its content. Doesn't matter what prim it goes in, child, root, doesn't matter with the frame scripts. Now to put them into action, I need a trigger. So I'm going to go to my little trigger buddy here, And you'll see him animate in a second too. I rezzed him out earlier, so I can touch him. He'll activate, give us a little wave. More information and explanation on triggers in the trigger video and in the instructions. So for here I'm just going to choose a selective trigger. Many options that I can choose, mix and match, that will trigger him. Trigger the animation, so I'm just going to choose a touch trigger. So I'm going to choose touch, and it'll ask me questions on to make sure it gets it the way I just want it. Now I only want it to play once, so rather than loop or switch on and off, I just want the animation to play once when I touch. So I'll choose standard. Who do I want to be able to touch it? Can just owner only, group only, or can everyone? I'm just going to choose everyone. There you go, and that's done. There's another page as well that you can choose parameters there, but I'm finished with that, so I'm just going to dump the script now. Do I want the animation to reset to frame 0 when it's finished playing? Yes. And gives us for the animation name. This must be the same name, case sensitive, to what I did for the frame script. So bounce, submit, how many frames, and this is where the total frame count comes into effect, and I choose 8 and I submit that. And now the frame delay, so how fast do you want the animation to play? And the delay can be as little as 0.02 seconds, which is really fast animation. So fast you won't really be able to see it, I think. So I don't need it that fast. I'm going to do 0.3 second delay. Submit, and then it will give me an option to start again, warning me translators must be turned off. Open up my chat like I did before, and I'll start. Same deal. Take my cursor here, left mouse button, hold and select, and keep my mouse button held down while it generates the rest of the script. And I go up here and I will copy that, and I can either redo or finish, and I'm going to finish here, and you'll see he'll shut down. Alright, so I'm going to go into my inventory now, go back into this folder, and I'm going to make another new script, call this one trigger, and I will open that up, remove the default stuff in there again, and paste. There it comes with little comments. Make sure I save it. It comes with comments if you want to know what bits and pieces of it do, if you're interested, but obviously as you can see, you don't need to know editing, don't need to do any editing, don't need to know anything about scripts. It's just copy and paste. And so I can close that down now, and I can edit my object and place that in its content. And it goes back to frame 0, they're ready to go. And when I touch it, there we go. I've got my box that turns into a bouncing ball each time I touch it. Great smooth animation, changes its color, prim type, and you'll see that it's completely scalable animation, as I'm about to demonstrate. If I make it smaller, let's say I touch it again, and there you go, it's adjusted accordingly. I don't have to redo the animation. So that's the APS and how easy it is to use. So many options and possibilities you can use, so you can get creative. As you can see, you're not limited to just size, position and rotation. You've got so many other options, hundreds of possible trigger combinations, and so get into it and be sure to watch the other videos for more in-depth explanations and details on everything I've just gone over. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.